Yeah, so this is a fair use from the Act of 1976. Disclaimer, Section 107, under critical and teaching and scholarship and educational purposes, research. I am not making any money off this. This is fair use, fair use. Yeah, so this is The Guardian. This is crime. This is mass shooting, rampage in Louisiana leaves 8 children dead and others wounded. So first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Kwadash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well, right? Call Loyum Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Yeah. To the bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To your sisters, your chawatlim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Ram Yehuda with the lesson. Yes, it says at least 8 children were killed and 2 adults were wounded in a mass shooting in Louisiana city of Shreveport in what police called a domestic violence incident. So it was not a mass shooting. It was a domestic violence incident. I guess they're declaring it as a mass shooting instead of it being, but that's just Esau escalating things higher than what it than what it needs to be. I mean, murder's good enough, right? You're gonna this person, you say, but you got to change it to a mass shooting. But I guess so. If other people die, I guess you can, It says Chris Bortland, the Shreveport Police Department spokesman, said on Sunday evening that the suspect, Shamar Elkins, killed 7 of his own children. See how that you went from a mass shooting, like he killed his own children, 7 of his own children, and wounded their mother, as well as killing other children. So I guess that's where they throw in the mass shooting at, right? Yeah. So it says victims range in age from 1 to about 12 years old. The mother and other women are in critical condition. Elkins died after a police pursuit. Borderland said the suspect had been arrested in 2019 in a firearms case. Wayne Smith, Shreveport police chief, said the suspected killer was shot and killed by police after he commit a carjacking. Right. So, and this is why we have to. This is why we're supposed to be careful and what we do and how we carry ourselves, because Esau is starting to elevate, or he's starting to rename these things. Like, this is a regular hood. This is the type of thing that happens every day in the hood, every day. Now you turn this into a mass shooting. You turn this into something instead of it just being some domestic violence stuff that got out of control. Domestic violence out of control, right? But they turned it into, and how much more when they start accusing the men of the Lord, they're gonna take something simple and make it bigger than what it is. They're gonna magnify it, right? So that's why, hey, That's why the apostle said for us not to be around, especially, niggas, man. Be around no nigga shit. Don't be at no protests. Don't be at any of these things, because they're starting to rename things and it put something bigger on a thing than what it really is. It's just some domestic violent shit that got out of hand, right? That's all it is. Some regular hood shit. But but this is the time that we're living in, right? Because they want to come down upon Jake, right? Yeah. So we got to watch out what's going on, because they definitely want to come after Jake, hey, especially when they're doing things like this, right? Because we know the the shadow government or whatever is behind this right here, right? The breaking news. This is the Daily Mail. It says searching for 11 missing nuclear scientists escalates as top lawmakers reveal new national security fears, right? So now you should be afraid that anything could happen here at any time now, because these missing scientists. So it brings more fears, right? It says lawmakers are demanding a sweeping investigation into the mysterious disappearance and deaths, right? Which I don't know if they found. It didn't say they found any dead bodies, right? As far as I've seen, but how do they know they're dead? See, because most likely these things are inside jobs, or it could just be one of those where they fake it. It's, crisis acting, right? So, and of nearly a dozen top U.S. scientists with top level security clearance citing national security concerns, right? Yeah. Yeah, continue back right here. It says, in light of the concerning deaths and disappearance, in light of the concerning deaths and disappearance, right? What's light about it, right? This is supposed to be national security, and you're supposed to be all in fear, right? What's light about this? You know what I'm saying? And, the deaths and disappearance, top lawmakers are now demanding that the FBI, the Pentagon, or NASA, right? Because NASA, which is basically supposed to be NASA, and the Department of Energy open probes into the case. The Committee on Oversight and Government Reform is investigating recent unconfirmed public reporting on the disappearance and the deaths of individuals with access to sensitive U.S. scientific information. Republic Chairman James Comer wrote in letters sent on Monday. These reports alleged that at least 10 individuals who had a connection to the U.S. nuclear secrets and rocket technology have died or mysteriously vanished in recent years. He writes. So hey, this sound like something they're covering their, what? Because probably some of the family is finally asking, what's going on? Where's my family? Where's my dad? Where's my mom? Where's my, where's my uncle? Where's my aunt? Where's something? Where's my cousin? People are asking. So now they're just throwing out a thing, and you're the government. Are these people just missing or coming up dead? And then you just don't have no answers. And then you send us over recent years So it means you're just covering your you know what. That's all that is. You decided to put something out there, statement. Well, we don't know what's going on. You know, you know. Most likely, this government, right, kidnapped them people and unalive those people. But hey, yeah, this is Geo News. This is a viral, right? This is North Korea fires cruise anti-ship missiles from Chohayan warship aimed at U.S.-Iran war, which basically aimed at the U.S. That's over there, and they're basically making a statement towards the U.S. saying they got Iran's back, pretty much. Yeah, it says right here, North Korea once again fired cruise missiles and anti-warship missiles as part of its latest strategic war test, which the country's leader describes as strengthening its nuclear weapon deterrent on Sunday from its destroyer, Chuhan, according to the state-run Korean Central News Agency. Several senior officers, including the leader Kim Jong-un, were present when 3 anti-warship and 2 strategic cruise missiles were fired to check the vessel's integrated integrated Slakia integrated weapons command system. Slakia. So basically saying they fired it aimed towards the U.S.-Iran war, which who they're not allies with America, so who are they firing on? They fired on America, right? And that's like a flex. See what you're gonna do. See if you're gonna budge. Right? Because China already said that they'll defend North Korea, right? But if it's a straight up fight, they say they won't jump in. But they're doing things now with Iran. It's supposed to be a straight up fight, but then they're giving Iran certain things, satellites, and they're giving them certain weapons, and so I mean you're still helping, But yeah, and then not to mention, it's talking about its nuclear capability because now, North Korea actually has nukes that can reach the U.S. as of now, so that's part of that deterrence, right? Right.
This is Dompu 7, an earthquake update. We have a powerful 7.5 magnitude quake that has hit the northern shores of Japan. This has triggered a tsunami warning, especially for the Kuchi port in the Awate prefecture. Now, there's broadcasts put out initially saying that this tsunami could be up to 10 feet high in this specific area. This is on Honshu's main island. So they're waiting to see as time goes by just how bad this is going to be. It's kind of a wait and see type of thing, although the alerts and the warnings have been put out. They say the quake had rattled towers as far away as Tokyo. This has also forced the suspension of the high-speed rail service in this region, and the government is mobilizing emergency services and urging citizens to flee the affected areas, to evacuate now. So that is the word. Get out now. Regardless if this tsunami ends up being massive or small, you don't want to risk the chance. Anyone out there, shout out to Silver Sailor, everyone else out there in Japan. Hopefully there's not a lot of damage done with this. It doesn't look like buildings collapsed and came down en masse. The biggest thing I think here is waiting to see what kind of damage the tsunami does. Hopefully it's not a lot, but you just never know. 2011 Fukushima, when the 9.0 hit there, it was the tsunami that did most of the destruction. So, no word if this affected anything else yet, but I will update as I get this info. Make sure to follow me over on X for updated information And I'll leave links below.
This is the U.S. Sun. This is military. 2 U.S. soldiers mauled by brown bear during military training exercise as hunt for beast launched. Also, now they're trying to look for they want to go kill the bear when the bear is just being a bear, right? Two soldiers have been mauled by a brown bear in a savage attack. Well, no, this is not savage attack. It's just being a bear during training season in Alaska. That was beautiful. The duel from the Joint Base Elmindo for Richardson. I don't even know. Art and Anchorage. Oh yeah, Anchorage, Alaska. Yeah. I remember where we're taking part in a land navigation exercise when they came upon the wild beast. Well, you're in the wild. Oh, yeah. So this is Nahum chapter 3, verse 1. Woe, which means judgment, weeping and gnashing of teeth, to the bloody city, which that's America, right? You've gotten this land by violence, and by violence are you going to be taken out, right? And it is all filled with lies, right? And that's this place, man. A bunch of lies, and you can see it every day on the news. Every time Trump opened his mouth, it's all lies, right? And you could say it's deterrent because they can't tell you everything because they're in war, because of this, because of that. But it wouldn't have to be war or anything, and he'll still lie to you. Well, that's how you got into war. He was going to be he's this peace guy. But meanwhile, he was doing all this peace. He's buddy with the G-siding guy, right? Then he's over hijacking the president of Venezuela, his wife, and the entire country, right? And he's pretending to put it back to the people, but most likely this is someone who's going to be on the puppet strings and is going to do their biddings, right? You know, so you lied, you robbed the entire country, but before that you robbed the entire people, right? So-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, right? And built this country, built your military, built all this stuff that you have. You have this great city, Babylon the Great, right? You know, and it's just been filled with lies and robbery from the beginning. The prey departeth not, right? Hey, Jake, man, we're still here being preyed upon, you know, getting gunned down in your own so-called neighborhoods, you know, being highly policed because they're speaking of these new systems that said that they can detect gunfire, right? And they can draw, but they're only using it in Jake communities, right? And then there's some other system thing that they I forgot which one, but there's some other stuff that they got too with these drones and stuff. And people are saying, okay, well, why are you heavily in our neighborhoods, right? So the prey departeth not, right? Whether you so-called Black, Hispanic, and anybody, the main person they pick on is Judah, right? The so-called Negro, right? But they'll mess with the so-called Mexican, which is Issachar, so-called Native American, which is Gad, right? But the main they want to get after It's Judah. But what they ain't gonna understand is the Lord is gonna allow you to do these things to you arouse Judah up, right? And once you rouse Judah up, hey man, it's curtains for you. Not to mention once you push the MOTB, we need you to push the MOTB soon, right? We need that. It says that the noise of the whips, right? And you did that in the time of slavery. You whipped us. You built this country up by the whips on the backs of first the Native Americans, and then you brought their brothers from the west coast of Africa and build up your place, man. Build this so-called great place up, Babylon the Great, right? And since you're great, you're the daughter of Babylon. You're Babylon the Great, and the noise of the rattling of wheels, right? Cars were created here, right? First place cars were ever invented was in America, which really was Jake that created. But you know they pretty much try to steal. No, you pretty much stole. You took the credit for creating the car, even though it was a so-called black man that created the car, right? Yeah. So I was looking for a thing, but of course, Esau these days they got so many lies. They don't want to tell. They don't want to put out the truth, right? So, but they send the claim that a black man invented the original car often refers to Frederick Douglass Patterson. See, that's who created the first car. But they say who is credited as the first African American. When everyone knows such thing as African American back then, so they're adding. See, even if it's a bunch of lies, it's insults that they on top of it. You're insulting the man that he was the first creator. You're just saying there's claims when we know that that's what it is. They even went to court, right? To prove that they were the first one, and they won in court, right? And it says it was credit for the we even want to say that he's basically he's a Jake, he's an Israelite, right? To build the first manufactured automobile, while many historians credit a German engineer, right? Of course you do. It's some Edomite. You're trying to credit some Edomite, Carl Benz, right? I guess where you get the Mercedes Benz, right? With inventing the first modern practical was it gasoline powered car in 1886. The Patterson family made history by establishing the first and only black owned car company in the United States. But they were the ones who created it, bro. Right? Came from Jake. Right? We're the salt of the earth, right? Right? You know what I'm saying? Only thing Esau know how to create is guns. Right? That's it. Proving it. Lies. This place is of lies and robbery, right? You don't want to even give the man the credit who created it, right? You're trying to pass it off as, oh, well, it was this, it was that. You don't want to, lies and robberies, man. All the inventions that Jake created, you patent it for yourself. You don't want to give the people the credit. Hey, forget about it. The money you owe Henrietta Lacks, you can never repay that back. Like, yeah. And her family, you're talking billions and trillions upon trillions of dollars you owe that family, man. Not to mention you can't put a stamp on life, right? If I save your life, what price do you put on life saving, right? But you could at least give those people some money, but you refuse to, right? And it says so the car was created here in America based off the labor and the things that so-called black people created and done, right? And it says and of the prancing horses, right? And of jumping chariots, right? Because from horses, or from horses to automobiles, from automobiles to planes, jumping chariots. Then, not to mention, when you go a little bit further into the future, which I'm pretty sure these prophets, the Lord showed them a vast part of that time going forward, all the way into the future. And then you've seen what they call hydraulics switches. You know, that's also considered a jumping chariot, right? You know, and then it says the horseman lefteth upon both the bright sword, which is talking about the missiles, right? Horse represents power, and that bright sword represents the nukes that's gonna hit, right? That's why North Korea's testing their nuclear capability, the distance, which I believe they can hit America now, and they're just flexing, shot at towards the Gulf of Persia, whatever, towards the the whole blockade and all the other stuff to flex, see what you're gonna do, right? You know, that's all that was. And so you got more problems than a little bit. So who knows if that ain't the scientists ain't in North Korea, those missing scientists, right? Because at one point in time, North Korea couldn't shoot that far. They didn't have that. They didn't have those vessels. But now, hey, North Korea has been really close with China, and they flexing now, man. Right? They flexing against you in the Gulf. They're flexing against Russia with Russia, against the Russian people. Right? Hey, you know, they plan on controlling some things real soon, but the Lord's about to take them out. You know, but this goes into the missile and the glittering spear, right? The missile, right? The nuclear missiles, because World War III is going to happen. It's going to take this place out. So you got more problems than a little bit, man. You got so-called mass shootings, which is really that's just some regular hood stuff, you know, some domestic violence that just went left. It just went out of control. You know, he felt like he was, you know, after he did all that, there ain't no coming back from that. So he just went all the way over the edge. But this is this place, right? If the females are not oppressing you in some type of way because she did something with your homeboy, your cousin, the man at work, find out some of them goddamn kids ain't yours, and then you got this child support over you, which that Title 4D, which is illegal, that America does, which just places full of lies and robbery. What do you think this guy is gonna do? Right? This chick talking madness, thinking because Esau is you know, he's still in power right now. But we're coming to a time that Isaiah 4 is about to take place, man. Ain't gonna be no police, but he had to show her. Right? You could call 911, but what if I unalive you before they get here? That doesn't change that you're unalived. Yeah, you call the police, but you're unalived. And at this point, he was done with life. You know, he did his little car chase and this and that, but I'm pretty sure he figured he was out of here. Right? But that's the type of stress and things that in this place, this bloody city, it puts on you, right? You know? But the Lord's promising what retribution through the glittering spear, right? That's ultimate judgment, man. And there is a multitude of slain, a great number of corpse, right? That's what's going to be here in America, Babylon the Great, man. A great number of corpse, right? Your flesh is going to consume away while you stand upon your feet, right? Your eye is going to melt away in its hole. Your tongue is going to just consume away in your mouth. That's how hot. It's going to melt the elements. It's gonna melt the concrete. That's how hot it's gonna be. It's gonna melt. You know how the banks have that. They have so many depths of steel in the banks, and for those volts, it's gonna melt that, man. That's how hot it's gonna be. So there ain't no escaping this thing unless you choose Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai as you being Israelites, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, and that's ultimately what we're saying, to repent, right? But ultimately, it's really of the Lord, right? To want you to repent, but hey, it would behoove you to ask the Lord if He wants you, or would He have you? Could you please help me to ask for forgiveness? Can you help me find my way? Because hey, judgments like that is going to be going on, right? Or you're going to be called to the military, right? Because they're talking about a draft and all this other stuff, and you're going to be testing, doing drills, and you get eaten up by a bear doing your drills in Alaska, man, which is beautiful, man, right? Right, and it says great number of corpse, and there is none in of their corpses, right? Yeah, man, yeah. From one end of America, the 5,000 square 5,000 miles of America, nothing but death, man, nothing but corpses. They stumble upon the corpses, right? Hey, and especially when these pestilence get here, and the people go into this what is it, the lack of bread, right? It's going to be a lot of corpses. People are going to be stumbling upon. You're going to be running. Yeah, so this is Baruch 2:25. It says, "Lo, they are cast out to the heat of the day," which they're talking about these rolling blackouts, or the power beyond, and it'll cut off, and basically just saying it because they're going to be using most of the power for these data centers, which is why they want it to be where you're just at a central location. You're just at these 15-minute cities, and seeing that way they don't have to try to put energy in every single place, right? And then some people are going to feel lucky that they're in these 15-minute cities, but either or, it's just like an open prison. You're just a prisoner, right? But you have these rolling blackouts, so you're going to be in the heat of the day, which I understand this was in the time of the Babylonians, when the Babylonians were coming, and our people didn't want to listen and to obey the Lord and go under the Babylonians the way they should have, but because they didn't, they got slaughtered even further, because they just would have went into the Babylonian captivity like they should have. It just would have been a smooth transition. You'd have spent, because really you didn't even spend 70 years like the Lord said you were going to do, right? You spent 70 years or less, right? Which that happened. You might even spend less time than that, but all that rebellion, which that's what you're doing today, a lot of rebellion against the Most High. So that's why you're going to be like in the heat of the day, and in the forests of the night. See, a lot of people are trying to be preppers, and they're trying to get ready and be in the forest, and they're trying to do all these different things, preparing themselves for what's coming, which, hey, you have to be, there's something definitely happening when 11 scientists are missing, and they died in great miseries by famine and by the sword, but by miseries, by famine, great miseries by famine, by sword, and by pestilence. See, and when you got scientists missing, who knows if these scientists didn't create some type of pestilence, and these people got rid of them because they're the only people that can create a antidote, or they're the only people that know about the antidote, or they're the only people that know what actually happened with them creating these novel viruses, right? That they call it, these pestilence that they plan on bringing upon the earth, right? And especially here in Babylon, right? The daughter of Babylon, right? Because it happened in ancient Babylon, which that's what this was talking about, right? Ancient Babylon, but hey, why not this modern Babylon? Yeah. And then it says, and the house which is called by thy name has laid waste, right? right? Which is Yahweh. Yahweh has his people, which are Yasha Allah, right? He Prince of Power, which is called by his name. It's laid waste here, what in Babylon, right? We're the dry bones that's in Babylon. But of course, a remnant is waking up, you know. But a lot of you jakes are just still laid waste, as it is to be seen this this very day, right? For wickedness of the house of Israel, right, which the Northern Kingdom, so-called Native Americans, so-called, well, really, all of you will be considered the indigenous, right? Whether you're Puerto Rican or Mexican or Native American, right? You're all basically the indigenous that were here first. You were here in the time before Columbus, which really you came from Israel. You know, going back to Second Ezra 13, right? The time that you were held captive under the Assyrian captivity, you held a council together and decided to go into Arzareth, right, where never mankind dwelt, right, so that you will keep the laws of Moses, right? Which that's why there's a Ten Commandments on the Lost Lunar Stone in New Mexico, which is in the Paleo Hebrew, which they say it's still some of the most ancient Hebrew that they have found in the world. Even they haven't even found that old of Hebrew, even in what they call Israel today, because they're not in the main part of Israel. They're like in some other part, right? And they don't have all of Israel, right? And so the most ancient Paleo Hebrew that they've ever found is over here in New Mexico, way over here. So how is that possible? It means that you so-called Mexicans, you so-called Native Americans, are the Israelites, right? You know, and but that's what the Northern Kingdom and the house of Judah, which is the Southern Kingdom, which is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, right? So-called Negro, so-called Jamaican, Virgin Islands, right? And the Haitians, which is Levi. Virgin Islands is, and Jamaican are Benjamin, and the Haitians is the Levites, which is the Southern Kingdom, which is what you're going to be judged here in America. Babylon the Great corpses are going to be upon the land, right? Yeah. So this is Jeremiah chapter 25, verse 18. And to wilt what Jerusalem, and the cities of what of Judah, right? Representing that, well, really that's Southern Kingdom, but this, but this is, speaking of all of Israel, right? Which would be the Southern Kingdom and the Northern Kingdom. But this time, if this was talking about the Southern Kingdom, but as of this moment, all 12 tribes are here in America, Babylon the Great, which is what I'm trying to get to, right? Because this was talking about the Southern Kingdom, but the Lord's putting a judgment on all of Israel, right? The ones that you want to get right, you're here in Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, and you're not trying to get right. And the Lord, there's nothing new under the sun. So, and it says, and the kings thereof and the princes thereof, to make them a desolation. See, and that's what the Lord's trying to do here in this place called America, right? Judgment is coming. You got a lot of different things that's going on, earthquakes and tsunamis that you have to worry about. That's may hit Japan, which Japan is an ally to America. If they get hit, how is Japan going to help America in the war? They're gonna be obsolete in coming to help them, right? And then you got all these other neighboring places surrounding America, which is actually according to the scriptures. It says, come about her, round about her, right? So North Korea is in the south. You got China right there, just east of it. You got Russia just north of it, right? And then you have their so-called allies, which they're not really being allies at this moment. They're being more like enemies, right? Or frenemies, right? And that's what's going on. While you Jakes, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, you're like in La La Land over here, man. You right? So that's why your top people and all these others, whatever, your princes, your top people thereof, to make them a desolation. So whether you're president or CEO of some company, you're a basketball player, a movie star, whatever it is, down to the average regular so-called Black and Hispanic and Native Indian, right? The Lord's you ain't right with the Lord. He's gonna make you a desolation and an astonishment and a hissing and a curse, as it is this day, right? This very day. These things are happening there. You in the ghettos, the vadios, and the reservations, and even to this day, they calling the places where you live at shithole places, right? Though they the ones who made it that way. They extracted all the gold, the silver. They did all the different things. Did economic hitmen, put you in poverty, but then the Edomite can step back and talk proud and say you live in shithole places. But this place is about to be a desolation. America is a shithole place, right? The Pharaoh king of Egypt, right? And we know that this was talking about at that time, right? But like I said, there's nothing new under the sun. So what represents Egypt today? America, right along with Babylon. It's the daughter of Babylon spiritually, but it's also spiritually Egypt, right? So the Pharaoh king of Egypt, right? Donald Trump, all these, he's the king of Babylon. He's also the king of Egypt. He's the cruel lord in Egypt, right? Isaiah 19. And his servants, right? The police officers, the soldiers, and his princes and all his people, right? The Lord said, and all the mingled people, right? Is America not supposed to be the melting pot? So I know this was talking about this, of this time, but there's nothing new under the sun, right? You know what I mean? So I'm trying to qualify that, just saying that this is something that already, but we're just, there's nothing new under the sun. So if the Lord did that to our people then and to the heathen at that time, the Lord is going to do that now. He's going to destroy our people, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, which are the Israelites, right? He love you, but you got to go. You're wicked. And then of course these other nations, they never knew the Lord. They're never gonna get right. They're never gonna know righteousness. So therefore, they have to go. And it says all the mingled people and all the kings of the land of Uz. And what's Uz? Esau. Esau is from Uz. Who's ruling the spiritual land of Uz, which is America, right? The Edomites, right? Esau, Edom, ruling over this place, which is spiritually what? Babylon, spiritually Egypt. It's also spiritually known as Uz, based on the people, based on their ideologies, their mentality. That's why it's called. That's why we say spiritually, because they bring the ideologies and the spirit, the holidays, the festivals, the things that they do, brings forth a certain spirit, right? The way they carry religions and everything like that, even Christianity, because Christianity is tied to other gods, pagan gods, right? You see the little fish, and you think that you believe that that's in the Bible, but where in the Bible it talks about these fish? Really, that goes back to Dagog, which is a Hamitic god, but also a Moabite. I believe Moab, which is what they call the Chinese today. They believed in those gods as well, Dagog, right? The fish god. But they mingle that stuff in with you. You have the Resurrection Sunday, which goes back to Ishtar, which you have these things with the bunnies, with rabbits. It's the fertility goddess, which is Ishtar, and rabbits have like a big litter when they give birth. That's why they represent the rabbit to it. But rabbits don't lay eggs. And if you ever thought about eggs or especially anything that lay eggs, they may lay one or maybe two at a time, but not an abundance of eggs. So what does the egg represent? Egg represents the eggs that be fertile. When the sperm hits the egg, it brings fertility. That's which really comes from the man. So to be a fertility goddess, it doesn't really make sense. But it goes back to the Queen of Heaven as well. See, that's the things that's mingled in this perverse nation, which you people follow, right? Without having any education, right, or anything building you up into rightly dividing the word of truth, right? But this place is basically what the land of Uz as well, right? And all the kings of the land of the Philistines. See, and that's why I said that's part of that spirit, because the Philistines come with those gods. You know, that's where they get fallen Baal and the what is it called, the Talmud and these different things that they actually follow. They don't tell you that. They'll say that they're Jewish and they're rabbis and they're this and they're that and they're that and they're this. And there's plenty of those people here in Babylon too, in the land of Uz. Saying that they're these Bible believing people, but their thing goes back to these Philistine gods, these basically back to this pagan culture, pagan religion, right? Mingled, intertwined with things that you believe is foundationally Christian or Jewish, right? When it's not, right? So that's why we tell you that. And Ashkelon and Azza and Ekron and the remnant of Ashdod, right? Right, which modern day Ashdod is where? That's Israel. Where they have the land, that's a port city off of Israel, Ashdod, right? Who's running Ashdod right now? Yeah, this is Jeremiah chapter 25, verse 33. Just skipping down real quick. It says, and the slain of Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, shall be in that day from one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. They shall not be lamented, neither gathered nor buried. They shall be dung upon the ground, right? Dung meaning, excrement, right? Someone takes a poop on the ground, you're not going to go out there and pick it up. You walk your, you walk your dog, and as of now, which a lot of people don't, they'll walk their dog and let the dog, and they'll just leave it there. Well, that's basically how the Lord's going to do. It's going to be slain bodies all over the place, and it's going to be hard to keep up, especially with the pestilence, the famine, the things that's going to be happening upon the earth, right? A big tsunami may leave a bunch of corpse, earthquakes in diverse places. You got these wars, rumors of wars, right? We're in that time, right? Yeah, this is 2nd Esdras chapter 15, verse 49. And I will send plagues, right? So got these different illnesses, diseases. Really goes. The plagues are also the missiles, but the plagues are also all these other different things, different scourges, the famine, the sea ragamuffin at the time. You got the you're gonna have the microchip is a plague, right? Because the stock market crash, the dollar has no value. Once all these things happen, plagues upon thy widowhood, right? Because that's his place. America said that it should never be a widow, right? Poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence to waste thy houses with destruction and death. See, and that's the thing that's about to be coming up upon this place, right? When you got 11 scientists, where do they go to? Did they create something, or they know something that's going to happen, right? Right? Are they helping someone else create or did they just unalive them or just pack them up and just got them missing on their own because there's some purpose, It's like one of those movie things, right? Says and the glory of thy power, right? Because what America has is great military power, things like that. That glory of that military power, that might shall be dried up, and you can see that now. At one point in time, America would have, they would have just said a couple of things, maybe shot a couple of, and after that, everybody would have been bowing down. Oh, no, we don't want that. We don't want the smoke, right? But Iran saying they want all the smoke. Iran, like, what's his name? Kodak, man. He said he want all the smoke, right? You know what I mean? He said, I'm a chimney. I'm like a chimney. I want all the smoke. You know? That's Iraq right now, man. Persia. They want all the smoke. So what? The time of what? Of Jacob's trouble is going to be at hand. World War III, the micro C hip. These are things that's going to be prevalent. And as that's happening, what your power, your military's unable to do things. You know, they had two ships crash into each other in the Caribbean. You had your two soldiers get mauled by bears. So your military ain't looking too bright. Your power ain't looking too good right now. As a flower, the heat shall rise at its scent that is sent over thee, right? And dried up, and then the sun comes up, and of course the sun is over everything, right? Over the thing, and the sun is very hot, and it dries up, you know, and it's like a flower that it dries it all the way out. That's your power, that's your strength. Yeah, so this is Luke 18:2, and it says, Luke 18:2, saying there was in a city a judge which feared not the power of the Most High Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakadash, neither regarded man. And that's definitely Esau. He don't fear the Most High, and he definitely don't regard men. Like the scripture says, if he is not good to himself, whom will he be good to? If he destroys his own Edomite counterparts, what place is it for you Jakes, man? When they hate you, right? They have a perpetual hatred towards you, and they'll leave their own people without, right? Because they're wiping out the middle class as we speak, and they're gonna leave their own like that. So who would he be good to? He's not gonna be good to you. You're gonna, oh, Mr. White Man, please love me. No, it's never gonna happen. And there was a widow in that city, and she came unto him, saying, avenge me of my adversaries, right? And you know, that woman pretty much represents Israel, right? Because that's what we doing, you know. We're sighing and crying, really ultimately to the Most High Yahweh. But then you got, you know, 2/3 of Israel that begs to this unjust judge, this system, unjust steward. You're asking for reparations, and they don't really give a damn to help you, right? They're bringing their thing is to bring in that Novus Ordo Seclorum. That's all they really give a damn about. But they'll you know, if you keep going, right, and it says and he would not for a while, but afterwards he said within himself, though I fear not the power of the Most High, they don't fear the Most High, nor regard man. So I don't give a damn about the Most High. I don't care about men. I'm in my rulership. I'm God. I don't really give a damn, right? Yet, because of this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me, right? Which that's why they gave you some type of freedom and things like that, or what they call freedom. They gave you they called it freedom, whatever. The Emancipation Proclamation. They gave you so-called, let you do civil rights and this and that, and they brought you to where there's certain jakes that can make a little bit of money and try to appease you. You know what I mean? But the point is the Most High Yahweh, right? It says, and the Lord, the Adawan Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakadash, right? hear what the unjust, right, judge saith. So the Lord said, hey, hear what that unjust judge said. He's unjust. But I'm the Father. Through my only begotten Son, I'm going to bring you justice, right? And if he's unjust and shall not the power, the Most High Yahweh, right, through his only begotten Son, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, avenge his own elect. See, and that elect is basically like that widow, that woman that's constantly complaining, and ultimately we're complaining to the Most High, right, on the highways and the byways. Avenge his own elect, which crieth day and night unto him, right, through this through these digital epistles, right, through the internet, right, which goes out into space, out into and back into to the terrain, right, making a net to bring in the elect, right, which we're not doing. It's really the Lord, though he bear long with them, right. And this is the time where it says a vision is set for an appointed time. In Habakkuk, right, chapter 2, it says a vision is set for a appointed time. Though it tarry, wait for it, it will surely come. And so we're in the time that it's not tarrying, it's surely coming. I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. See, and the Lord is going to avenge his elect, and it will be speedily. And that's what's happening now. The Lord speeding up the time, shortening the time. Nevertheless, and that's what all these calamities and things that keep happening is really for that, right? Because remember when the news back in the day, when it would get dried up because nothing was happening, next you know that they'll be doing like a segment on puppies and dogs, or the zoo or something to show you animals, because you know the news was they had to look for something for it. But now you don't gotta look far. It's always something happening in the news, especially with Trump, man. He loved to have his face in the news. He loved to just keep on talking, right? You know, even if he put his foot in his mouth, he don't care. Even if he comes out and blatantly says that he tried to give the protesters in Iran guns, he just keeps on talking, right? Right. But nevertheless, when the Son of Man, right, because Yahweh Shai is cometh, shall he find faith on the earth, right? Because people are going to go through these despairing moments, right? I just showed you. I was just going through that. Hey, corpses should be like dung upon the earth. It's going to be famine. It's going to be pestilence, different diseases, famine because of the lack of bread, because of the starvation, the money collapse. They're gonna set up a disparity where you have to either you better have a connection to the Most High, or you have to bow the knee to the God of Esau, to this digital system, the God of AI, right? So you could be micro-hit, right? But shall you find faith? Of course he's going to find faith through the elect. The elect is going to have that faith. And then he spake this parable unto certain which trust in themselves. See, and that's what's ultimately happening, right? We're in a time where people just trust in themselves, right? That they were righteous, right? See, you think you're good with the Most High already, and despised others, right? And that's just this place, man, because it tell you that and it's time the love of many shall wax cold, right? So we're in that time. They're going to despise others, right? And it says 2 men went up unto the temple, right? So you believe in God or whatever you say you believe in, right? Or we might even be the same, believe in the so-called same faith, right? So you say, right? When you go to the same temple to pray, or you go to your temple, I go to my temple, whatever. You know, you despise other people because you're just this great person, right? It says to pray that one Pharisee and the other a publican, right? And it doesn't mean because the publican that he's not an Israelite. This is talking about 2 Israelites, right? And the Pharisee stood and prayed thus, within himself, power, the most high power, Yahweh, I thank thee that I am not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, and even as this publican. So he's looking at this dude like, yeah, you ain't nothing. I ain't even as this little dude right here. Which you're right, you're not as this guy right here. Says I fast twice in the week. I gave tithes of all my possessions, which is a good thing. It's not a wicked thing you've done that, but the wicked thing you're doing is ultimately seeing as yourself as there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with you at all, because you do that. That just obscure all the things that you've done in the present life. Not to mention you have sins in your past life, right? But I'm pretty sure present day you're not without any blemishes. So that's But it says, and the publican stood afar off, would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, right, his chest, right, because he that's that broken and contrite heart, man, saying, the Most High power, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, be merciful unto me, a sinner, right? Recognizing he has flaws, and ultimately the Most High has mercy to forgive those flaws, right? Not that he's puffed up and he's thinking that he's better than anybody else. So should the Lord find faith on the earth? Of course, because this is the mindset of the elect. This is why this is why you're out there on the highways and the byways. This is why we do the digital epistles, because hey, we're not without fault. We're not without sin. We're begging and pleading for the Lord to show us mercy. We're not like you other people just continue on in life and just swear that you're good, right? You don't do any studying. You don't do any praying. You don't do any serving the Lord outside it. If you do, you may go to a church and sing and dance, and there's no edification through that, man. There's no edification because you gave tithes, right? Right? You know what I mean? So with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha HaKodash. I like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well, to the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom, to your sisters, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence, and above all, Kwam Yasharallah.